I had 15 minutes to make it to the most important interview of my life when I saw him. An elderly man collapsed on the sidewalk, his worn briefcase spilled open, strangers stepping around him like he was invisible. And in that split second, I chose his life over my dreams, never imagining that 5 hours later, everything would come full circle. My reflection in the subway window looked back at me with determination I'd been building for 6 years. Navy blazer, white blouse, minimal jewelry, hair pulled back in a neat bun. Professional, competent, ready. My name is Sienna Hayes, 28 years old, and today was supposed to be the day everything changed. The email had come 3 weeks ago. Congratulations. You've been selected for a final interview for the Senior Marketing Director position at Meridian Global. Interview scheduled for 9 a.m. sharp. I'd read it 17 times, screenshotted it, sent it to my mother with a string of celebration emojis. Meridian Global, the company every marketing professional dreamed of joining. Six-figure salary, full benefits, opportunities for advancement, the kind of role that could launch a real career instead of the series of entry-level positions and freelance gigs I'd been cobbling together since graduation. I'd prepared obsessively, researched every executive, memorized the company's quarterly reports, crafted presentations analyzing their recent campaigns, bought this blazer I couldn't afford with my credit card. Everything was perfect. I checked my phone. 8:42 a.m. 18 minutes until my interview. The subway was running on time. Meridian's office was a 7-minute walk from the station. I'd arrive with 5 minutes to spare, enough time to check my makeup, take a few calming breaths, and walk in radiating confidence. The train lurched to a stop at my station. I stepped onto the platform with 50 other commuters, all of us moving in that purposeful morning rush, each person the center of their own urgent story. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time, emerged onto Fifth Avenue, and started walking fast. Meridian Global's headquarters rose 30 stories above the street, all gleaming glass and steel and money. I could see it 3 blocks away, a beacon pulling me toward my future. 2 blocks away. That's when I saw him. An elderly black man in a threadbare brown suit collapsed on the sidewalk near a bus stop. His briefcase had fallen open, papers scattering in the morning breeze. A bus pass, reading glasses with a cracked lens, a small paper bag that had split, an orange rolling into the gutter. People flowed around him like water around a stone. A few glanced down. Most didn't. New York morning rush. Everyone had somewhere to be, something more important than a fallen stranger. I should have kept walking. Should have told myself someone else would help. Should have protected my dream, my carefully planned future, my one shot at this interview. I checked my phone. 8:47 a.m. 13 minutes. The man tried to push himself up, his arms shaking with effort. He made a sound, not quite a groan, but close. His dark skin had an ashy, grayish quality that made my nursing student roommate's warnings echo in my head. That's shock, Sienna. Or a heart attack. Or stroke. That's someone dying. 12 minutes. I looked at Meridian's building, so close I could read the company name etched in marble above the entrance. Then I looked at the man struggling to breathe on the cold concrete. Damn it. I dropped to my knees beside him, my hand instinctively going to his wrist to check his pulse. Rapid and thready. His eyes rolled toward me, unfocused. Sir? Sir, can you hear me? I'm going to help you. My papers, he whispered. Need to, important. Forget the papers. Are you in pain? Chest pain. He nodded weakly, and my heart sank. Heart attack. This was a heart attack, and I was kneeling on a sidewalk watching precious minutes tick away while my interview slot disappeared. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. 911. What's your emergency? I need an ambulance at 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. Elderly male, appears to be having a heart attack. He's conscious but in distress. Ambulance is on the way. Stay with him and keep him calm. I ended the call and looked at my phone. 8:51 a.m. 9 minutes until my interview. The ambulance would take at least 10 minutes in morning traffic. I could still make it. I could wait until I heard the sirens, then run. Someone else would ride with him to the hospital. Someone always did. But the man's hand found mine, gripping with surprising strength for someone so frail. His eyes focused on my face. Don't leave me, he breathed. Please, don't leave. Have you ever had to choose between helping someone and achieving your own dreams? Tell us what you did in the comments. And just like that, the choice was made. I'm not leaving, I said, squeezing his hand. I'm right here. What's your name? Robert, he managed. Robert. Mitchell. I'm Sienna. Robert, help is coming. You're going to be okay. Just breathe slowly. In and out. I gathered his scattered papers with my free hand, trying to give him something to focus on besides the pain. Bills, mostly. A notice from a landlord about late rent. A job application to a grocery store. A birthday card with childish handwriting. Happy birthday, Grandpa. Love, Marcus. This man had a family. A grandson who loved him. A life that mattered. At 8:59 a.m., my phone buzzed with a reminder. Interview in 1 minute. At 9:03 a.m., it buzzed again. Missed. Interview scheduled for 9 a.m. At 9:07 a.m., the ambulance finally arrived. Act 2, the hospital. The paramedics moved with practiced efficiency, loading Robert onto a stretcher, starting in 4, asking questions I helped answer since he was too weak to speak clearly. Are you family? One paramedic asked. No, I just found him. You can ride with us if you want. Someone should be with him. I looked at my phone. Multiple missed calls from Meridian Global's HR department. A voicemail notification. Yes, I said. I'll ride with him. The emergency room at St. Vincent's was organized chaos. Crying children, people holding ice packs to various injuries, the smell of antiseptic and fear. They rushed Robert into a treatment room immediately, and I was left in the waiting area with his briefcase and scattered belongings. I finally listened to the voicemail from Meridian. Ms. Hayes, this is Catherine Shin from Meridian Global. We're concerned that you missed your 9 a.m. interview without notification. Please call us back as soon as possible to reschedule. Though I should mention we're interviewing other candidates today and may not have another available slot. The subtext was clear. I'd blown it. They'd move on to someone who'd actually shown up. 6 years of clawing my way through the marketing world. 6 years of underpaid internships and entry-level positions and being told I needed more experience. 6 years of watching less qualified people get promoted because they had connections or came from the right schools. And I'd thrown it away for a stranger. I called back, knowing it was futile. Ms. Chun, this is Sienna Hayes. I'm so sorry I missed the interview. There was a medical emergency. Ms. Hayes. Her voice was professionally cold. We understand that emergencies happen, but without prior notification, we had to move forward with our other candidates. I'm afraid we won't be able to reschedule. I understand. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I hung up before she could hear my voice crack. 2 hours passed. I sat in that waiting room with Robert's briefcase on my lap, watching people come and go, feeling my future crumble with each minute. I should have left. Should have called 911 and kept walking. Should have chosen my dreams over a stranger. But every time I thought that, I remembered his hand gripping mine. Don't leave me. Like I was his only anchor in a frightening world. Sienna Hayes? A doctor appeared, clipboard in hand. You came in with Robert Mitchell? I stood quickly. Yes. How is he? Stable. He had a significant cardiac event, but we caught it in time. If he'd been alone much longer. She trailed off meaningfully. You saved his life by calling when you did. He's asking for you. Robert lay in a hospital bed, wires and tubes connecting him to various machines, but his eyes were clearer now. He smiled weakly when I entered. You stayed, he said. Of course I stayed. I set his briefcase on the chair beside his bed. Your papers are safe. Everything's here. You missed something. Important. I could tell. The way you kept checking your phone. I tried to smile. Nothing that matters. Don't lie to an old man. What did you give up? To save me. I sank into the chair. Maybe it was the exhaustion, or the emotional whiplash of the morning, or the fact that this stranger had nearly died in my arms, but I told him the truth. A job interview. My dream job, actually. Senior Marketing Director at Meridian Global. 6-figure salary, real career trajectory, everything I've been working toward for 6 years. I laughed, but it came out bitter. I missed it to ride in an ambulance with you. They've already moved on to other candidates. Robert was quiet for a long moment, studying my face with an intensity that seemed too strong for someone who'd just had a heart attack. Meridian Global, he repeated slowly. Marketing Director. Yeah, pretty stupid, right? Throwing away my career for a stranger. Not stupid, Robert said firmly, his voice stronger now. Noble. Rare. Most people would have kept walking. Most people probably would have still gotten to their interview on time. I rubbed my face, trying not to cry in front of this man I barely knew. I'm sorry. This isn't your problem. You nearly died. You shouldn't have to hear about my career problems. Tell me about yourself, Robert said instead. Your experience. What made you want that job? Maybe it was therapeutic, or maybe I just needed to talk, but I told him. About my marketing degree from a state school nobody impressed. About my internship at a boutique agency where I developed a campaign that increased their clients' sales by 40%. About the series of entry-level positions where I'd consistently exceeded expectations but got passed over for promotions. About my portfolio, my strategies, my passion for creating campaigns that actually connected with people instead of just selling products. Robert listened intently, occasionally asking questions that showed he understood the industry better than I'd expected. You have a gift, he said finally. The way you talk about connecting with people, understanding what they need before they know it themselves. That's rare. Apparently not rare enough to get hired at Meridian. A nurse came in to check Robert's vitals, and I took that as my cue to leave. I should go, I said, standing. Let you rest. Is there anyone I should call? Family. My son, Robert said. His number, in my wallet. Tell him. I'm okay. Tell him. Not to worry. I found the worn leather wallet in his briefcase and located the contact. Alexander Mitchell, emergency contact. I'll call him right away, I promised. Robert caught my hand before I could leave. Sienna, what you did today mattered. More than you know. That job, it wasn't meant to be. Something better is coming. I smiled because it was kind, even though we both knew it was just something people said to make you feel better about catastrophic mistakes. Get some rest, Robert. I'll make sure your son knows you're here. I stepped into the hospital hallway and dialed Alexander Mitchell's number, expecting voicemail or maybe an assistant. Instead, a deep voice answered immediately. This is Alexander Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell, my name is Sienna Hayes. I'm calling about your father, Robert Mitchell. He's at St. Vincent's Hospital. He had a cardiac event this morning, but he's stable now. The doctors say. Wait. Slow down. His voice shifted from business crisp to concerned. My father had a heart attack. Yes. I found him collapsed on 5th Avenue around 8:45 this morning. I called 911 and stayed with him. The doctors say if we'd been any later. I took a breath. But he's okay now. Stable and resting. He wanted me to call you. You stayed with him? You're not family. No. I was walking by. I couldn't leave him alone. There was a long pause. Where are you right now? Still at the hospital. I wanted to make sure he was settled before I left. Don't leave. Please. I'm 20 minutes away. I need to thank you in person. That's not necessary. It is to me. 20 minutes. Please. He hung up before I could argue. I returned to the waiting room, checking my phone out of habit. More missed calls, this time from my roommate and my best friend, both wondering how the interview had gone. I couldn't bring myself to call them back yet. Couldn't face putting into words that I destroyed my career for a stranger. Instead, I scrolled through Meridian Global's website, torturing myself with what I'd lost. The company culture page showed smiling employees in modern offices. The careers page was still advertising the senior marketing director position, though the Apply Now button had been replaced with Position Filled. Stay tuned for future opportunities. Position filled. In 5 hours. They'd moved that fast. I was reading about Meridian's latest acquisition when a commotion at the hospital entrance made me look up. A man strode through the doors flanked by 2 other people, one carrying a briefcase, another on a phone. He was tall, maybe mid-50s, in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. His dark skin and bone structure echoed Robert's, but where Robert had looked worn down by life, this man radiated power and success. He scanned the waiting room, and his eyes locked on me with laser focus. Sienna Hayes? I stood automatically. Yes, you're Alexander. Call me Alex. He crossed to me in 3 long strides and took my hand in both of his. Thank you, God. Thank you for what you did for my father. Anyone would have. No. His grip tightened. They wouldn't have. I know exactly where you found him. One of the busiest intersections in Manhattan during morning rush. I guarantee dozens of people walked past him before you stopped. I didn't know what to say to that. Can I see him? Alex asked. Room 347. The nurse said only family, but you're coming with me. It wasn't a question. He gestured to his assistants, who immediately settled into waiting room chairs, and then guided me toward the elevators with a hand on my elbow. In the elevator, Alex seemed to really look at me for the first time. You're dressed for something. Business meeting. I glanced down at my blazer and interview outfit, now rumpled from hours in a waiting room. Job interview, actually. But I missed it. His jaw tightened. Because of my father. Because I made a choice. It's not his fault. What company? I hesitated. Does it matter? Humor me. Meridian Global. Senior Marketing Director position. It was my dream job. Alex stopped walking. We were in the hallway outside room 347, and he turned to face me fully. Meridian Global. They've already filled the position, so it doesn't. I'm the CEO of Meridian Global, Alex said quietly. The hallway tilted. I grabbed the wall for support. What? Alexander Mitchell, CEO and founder of Meridian Global. That's me. And Robert Mitchell, the man you saved this morning, is my father. I couldn't speak, couldn't process. The man standing in front of me, in his expensive suit, radiating authority and success, was the CEO of the company I'd just lost my dream job at. And the elderly man I'd found on the sidewalk was his father. What would you do if you discovered the person you helped could change your life? Drop your thoughts below. That's not possible, I managed. It is possible, Alex said gently. And it explains some things. Come on, let's see my father, and then we need to talk. Robert's face transformed when Alex entered the room. Alex, you came. Of course I came, Dad. Alex moved to his father's bedside, taking his hand carefully, mindful of the four. You scared the hell out of me. I'm fine. Doctors are fussing over nothing. You had a heart attack. That's not nothing. Alex's voice cracked slightly. What were you doing on Fifth Avenue? You were supposed to be at the senior center. Robert looked embarrassed. I was going to surprise you. At your office. Thought we could have lunch. Dad. Alex closed his eyes. You know I would have sent a car? You know I would have. I know. I wanted to do it myself. Be independent. Robert's gaze shifted to me. But I got too tired. Too far. If Sienna hadn't stopped. I know. Alex squeezed his father's hand. She told me, Dad, she missed her interview at Meridian because of you. Her dream job. Robert's eyes widened. Your company? My company. Then you have to hire her. Alex, she saved my life. She gave up everything. Dad, I can't hire someone out of gratitude. That's not how it works. Then hire her, because she's good. Robert turned to me. Show him. Show him your portfolio. Your work. Robert, I appreciate it, but please, the old man said, his voice stronger now. You threw away your dream for me. Least I can do is give you a chance. A real chance. Alex was watching me carefully. Do you have your portfolio with you? On my phone. But this isn't necessary. I don't want charity. Noted. Show me anyway. I pulled up my digital portfolio with shaking hands, hyper aware that I was showing my work to one of the most successful marketing executives in the industry. Alex took my phone and scrolled through slowly, his expression unreadable. He stopped on my campaign for the boutique agency, the one that had increased sales by 40%. Talk me through this, he said. I explained my strategy, identifying the client's target demographics' actual needs versus what the client thought they needed. How I'd created a campaign that spoke to emotional connection rather than product features. How I'd tested different messaging and pivoted when initial data showed what resonated. What was your budget? Alex asked. $12,000. His eyebrows rose. You achieved a 40% sales increase on $12,000. The budget wasn't the advantage. Understanding the audience was. He scrolled further, asking pointed questions about each project. Not softballs, not courtesy questions, but the kind of challenging inquiries that showed he was seriously evaluating my work. Finally, he handed back my phone. Ms. Hayes. Sienna, you're talented. Genuinely talented. This work shows strategic thinking, creative execution, and measurable results. Any company would be lucky to have you. But I could hear it coming. But I can't offer you the senior marketing director position. My heart sank, even though I'd expected it. I understand. I can't offer it to you, Alex continued, because we filled it 2 hours ago with an internal candidate who's been with the company for 5 years and earned the promotion. It wouldn't be fair to them or you to reverse that decision because of personal circumstances. Of course, that's totally fair. However, Alex pulled out his phone. We have another position. Marketing Operations Manager. Newly created role, designed to streamline our marketing processes across all divisions. Same salary as the director position. More strategic scope, Actually, since you'd be working across the entire company rather than in one division. The role starts in 2 weeks. I stared at him. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you an interview. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., at Meridian's headquarters. With me and our chief marketing officer. If you're as good in person as your work suggests, the job is yours. But you'll earn it, Sienna. Not because you saved my father, but because you're qualified. I don't want special treatment because you're not getting special treatment. I'm giving you the interview you should have had this morning before circumstances intervened. What you do with that opportunity is entirely up to you. He extended his hand. Sound fair? I shook it, trying not to cry from relief and overwhelming emotion. Yes, thank you. Don't thank me yet. Interview me properly and get hired. Then you can thank me. He turned back to his father. Happy now? Robert was smiling, looking more alive than he had all day. Very happy. See, something better came along. I left the hospital in a daze, clutching a business card with Alex Mitchell's direct number and a confirmed interview time. The sun was setting, painting the city in gold and amber light. I'd spent 9 hours at St. Vincent's Hospital, 9 hours that had somehow transformed the worst day of my life into something else entirely. On the subway home, I finally called my roommate. Sienna, how did the interview go? I've been dying all day. I laughed, and it felt good. It's a long story. A really long story. Can you open wine? I need wine for this story. That night, I told her everything over cheap Pinot Grigio and leftover Chinese food. The collapsed man. The missed interview. The hospital. The CEO reveal. She listened with escalating disbelief, occasionally interrupting with no way. And that's insane. So you have another interview tomorrow? She asked. If it's real. If I didn't hallucinate the whole thing from stress. It's real, see. But are you ready? You're interviewing with the actual CEO. I have 16 hours to prepare. I pulled out my laptop. Time to work. I stayed up until 3 a.m., refining my presentation, researching Meridian's current challenges, developing strategies for the marketing operations manager role that didn't even have a job description yet. If Alex Mitchell wanted to see what I could do, I'd show him. The next afternoon, I walked into Meridian Global's headquarters with my head high and my portfolio ready. The lobby was even more impressive up close. Soaring ceilings, modern art, the quiet hum of success. Catherine Chun, the HR director who'd told me the position was filled, met me with a confused expression. Ms. Hayes? I wasn't expecting. How did you? I have a 2 p.m. with Mr. Mitchell, I said calmly. He should have notified you. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression shifted from confusion to professional courtesy. Of course, right this way. She led me to a top-floor conference room with panoramic city views. Alex sat at the head of the table with a woman in her 40s, elegant, sharp-eyed, radiating competence. Sienna Hayes, Alex said, standing. This is Patricia Wong, our chief marketing officer. Patricia, this is the woman I told you about. Patricia shook my hand with a grip that assessed and measured. Alex told me you have an interesting portfolio. Let's see what you've got. For the next 90 minutes, I presented my work, answered their questions, and discussed my vision for the marketing operations manager role. I proposed creating a unified dashboard for tracking campaign performance across divisions, suggested implementing quarterly strategy sessions to align marketing with sales objectives, outlined a system for sharing successful tactics between teams. Patricia challenged every point. Alex played devil's advocate. They pushed me harder than any interview I'd ever had, and I loved it. This wasn't charity. This was a real evaluation. When I finished, Patricia and Alex exchanged a look. Give us a moment, Patricia said. We'll be right back. They stepped into an adjacent office, leaving me alone with my racing heart and the city spread out below. 5 minutes felt like an hour. When they returned, Patricia spoke first. Ms. Hayes, your ideas are innovative and your experience is solid, but I'm concerned about your lack of enterprise-level experience. Meridian is a global company with complex stakeholder management. That's a significant learning curve. My heart sank. Here it came, the polite rejection. However, Patricia continued, Alex has convinced me that your strategic thinking and adaptability outweigh that concern. If you're willing to put in the work, and I mean serious work, long hours, steep learning curve, we'd like to offer you the position. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Alex smiled. Welcome to Meridian Global, Sienna. Assuming you accept? Yes. The word burst out. Yes, I accept. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Don't thank us, Patricia said dryly. Thank us after you survive your first quarter. Alex warned me you're talented, so I'm expecting excellence. You'll get it, I promised. After Patricia left, Alex walked me to the elevator. My father wants to see you again. He's being discharged tomorrow. Would you visit him? Of course. And Sienna? Alex pressed the elevator button. What you did yesterday, stopping to help when you had every reason to keep walking. That told me more about your character than any interview could. We need people like you here. People who see beyond their own needs. I just did what anyone should do. But what most people don't. The elevator arrived. See you Monday. And Sienna? Don't be late. I laughed. I'll be early. 6 months later, the marketing operations dashboard went live on a Tuesday, and I watched the data populate in real time from my new office. My office, still surreal to think about. The marketing operations manager role had expanded beyond even my initial vision. I'd implemented cross-divisional collaboration protocols that increased campaign efficiency by 32%, created a mentorship program pairing senior marketers with entry-level staff, launched a quarterly innovation challenge that had already generated 3 new revenue streams. Patricia had become a mentor and friend. Alex had become someone I deeply respected, both for his business acumen and his quiet generosity. He'd funded a full-time caretaker for Robert after his heart attack, but the old man still insisted on visiting the office twice a week for lunch with his son. And Robert, dear Robert, had become something like family. He'd asked to see all my major presentations before I delivered them, offering surprisingly sharp insights from his years of business experience I hadn't known about. Turned out he'd run his own small marketing firm in the 70s before health issues forced him to retire. You remind me of myself, he told me once. Before I let fear of failure stop me from taking risks. Don't make my mistakes, Sienna. Don't play it safe. My phone rang. Alex. Conference room 3. 5 minutes. Emergency meeting. I grabbed my tablet and headed down. Alex, Patricia, and 3 other executives were already there, looking serious. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing's wrong, Alex said. Everything's very right. We just acquired Stellar Marketing Group, our biggest competitor. The merger means we need to restructure our entire marketing division. We need someone to oversee the integration, manage both teams, create unified processes. That's huge, I said. Congratulations. We want you to do it, Patricia said. It means a promotion to Vice President of Marketing Operations. Significant raise, larger team, more responsibility. It also means the next 6 months will be brutal. 80-hour weeks, impossible deadlines, high stress. I looked at them both. 6 months ago, I'd been convinced my career was over. That missing one interview had destroyed everything. But I'd been wrong. That moment on the sidewalk, choosing compassion over ambition, had led me here. To this office, this opportunity, this life I'd built through a combination of hard work and the kind of luck you can only get by being in the right place, making the right choice, helping the right person. I'm in, I said. When do I start? Monday, Alex said, smiling. Same as always, don't be late. After the meeting, I stopped by Robert's usual spot in the employee lounge. He was there with his crossword puzzle and afternoon tea, looking healthy and content. They offered me VP, I told him. His face lit up. You accepted? Obviously. That's my girl. He patted the seat beside him. You know what this means? What? Means you were exactly where you needed to be that morning. On that sidewalk. Making that choice. Everything that happened after. It all started there. I know. I squeezed his hand. Best detour I ever took. Not a detour, Robert corrected gently. The right path. You just didn't know it yet. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. So proud of you, sweetheart. Always told you kindness would come back to you. I looked around the employee lounge, at Robert doing his crossword, at colleagues collaborating over coffee, at the company logo on the wall representing everything I'd built here, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Complete certainty that I was exactly where I belonged. What moment of kindness changed your life in unexpected ways? We'd love to hear your story in the comments. The truth was simple. I'd missed my dream job to help an elderly man. And 5 hours later, when his CEO son arrived, I'd gained something better than a dream. I'd gained a purpose. That evening, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror in my apartment, getting ready for a celebration dinner with friends. The navy blazer I'd worn to that missed interview hung in my closet, cleaned and pressed, waiting for its next big moment. But I was different now. Not just because of the promotion or the salary or the title on my business card. Different because I'd learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is the right thing, even when it costs you everything. I'd chosen compassion over ambition that morning on Fifth Avenue. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, I'd ended up with both. My phone rang. Alex. Sienna. I forgot to mention, we're having a company celebration next month for the merger. I'm expected to give a speech about how we got here, the values that drive Meridian's success. I'd like you to speak too. Share your perspective on what makes our culture unique. What should I talk about? Whatever you think is important. But maybe, he paused. Maybe talk about that morning. About the choice you made. I think people need to hear that success isn't just about ambition. Sometimes it's about being human first. After we hung up, I sat down at my laptop and started writing. Not a corporate speech, but the truth. 6 months ago, I had to choose between my dreams and doing the right thing. I chose doing the right thing, and somehow, my dreams chose me back. This is a story about a missed interview, an elderly man on a sidewalk, and the CEO's son who arrived 5 hours later to change everything. But more than that, it's a story about what happens when we remember that success means nothing if we lose our humanity along the way. Because in the end, the most important title I earned wasn't vice president or marketing director. It was the one Robert Mitchell gave me in that hospital room. Friend, I saved the document and closed my laptop, smiling at the memory of that chaotic morning that had changed everything. Missing that interview had been the best thing that ever happened to me. Sometimes, losing your dream is just making room for something better.